books, we're a search company. So our job is to help companies build services that help their customers find things. You know, it comes down to that. And as we're in a Geomob and as we're a maps team, we all know that finding things is very important when you're in the geospatial world. Here's an example of a customer called, Instacart, who are kind of the classic search customer. If they've got a website, you've got to search in the website looking for something. You've heard of Uber. We do support them with their kind of front end. You need to use Elasticsearch, behind the scenes to find this, to find the driver that you want to find. But another important aspect to this is that we also support them for their logs, because a technology company is going to be using logs to observe how healthy their system is and what's actually happening. And you need to be able to search in them. And then another type of example is in security. This is an insurance company, and their quote there was, "We mine 4 billion events every day, to detect hacks and threats." So that's kind of the general view of what the company does. And in all senses of the world, the geo is part of those and other things. But also, I want to give you a quick view of the company. It's a company of about 2,000 people over 40 countries around the world. And the key word there is distributed. So we're not remote, we're distributed. So there's no sense that anybody is sitting at home and their major team is in a different city or a different country in the world. Most people work the way I do. I sit here at this desk in Berlin. Jorge sits at this desk in Valencia. And that's got, of course, something that many of us are now used to because of COVID. But it's something that everybody in Elastic is used to. It's just the way that we work. Another thing that's important about us and the way that we work is this concept of the source code. All companies have things like values, and in many ways that's what these are. But they're an excellent principle by which we work. And they have a look at it. I've got a load of references at the end of the slide deck, which I'll share. But it's things like, "It depends," which is probably one of the most common phrases you hear in the company. Have a look and see what you think. So you want to see maps? I know, I want to show you some maps, but before, I'm just going to quickly zoom out and show you where things fit together in Elastic. So here's the kind of view of all the kind of components that you as a customer would see. And at the bottom, you've got how it's deployed. It's in the cloud, and we go through all the flavors of that, and including Kubernetes. At the top, you've got these different types of solutions that have been built quite recently and which form the identity of the company, which are about search, observability, and security. And you saw the examples I gave you earlier. But at the middle, which is the bit I want us to focus on, is the stack. This is the platform. This is the center of the company. Because everything here is about what you do with the data. So you ingest it using Beats or Logstat. You use Elasticsearch to do all the fundamental stuff like search, which is pretty crucial, and it's very important in this context because it's what makes Elastic what it is, because it's fast, it's powerful, it's scalable. And in terms of us, we live in Cabana, and Cabana is the visualization of all of that data. And to be able to visualize large amounts of data like you get in a map, you need to have a strong back end, and that back end comes from Elasticsearch. Again, there's a great article that I've linked in which talks in detail about things like BKDs and trees. You'll be able to get all the technical details from that. All right, maps, storming ahead. I mentioned earlier that you look at maps with Cabana. So this is an example of a Cabana dashboard that you would see. And this one shows wildfires. And you can see, we've got, a graph, we've got another graph here, we've got numbers. But the most important thing, of course, is the map. Now, if you create a dashboard, and you're going to get a chance to do this because at the end, we've got a link to a free that you can use, 14 days free use of Elastic. You can make the map as big or as small as you want. And of course, we know that we don't want to make it small. It's the most important thing. And a bit more detail about Elastic Maps is that, in this picture, you're going to see a lot more of that in what Jorge is just going to show, is, the key thing is that Elastic Maps lives within Cabana, and Cabana is the tool you use to visualize data. And for us, what we love about Elastic Maps is that we have the ability to look at location-based data. And we know that so much of the search is location-based, and it matters. Well, that's because we're the Maps team. So think of the Cabana, think of the Maps app, which is an app in Cabana. And thirdly, think of Elastic Map Service, which I'm going to show you in a bit more detail next. But before that, this service has now been available for a year and 2 months in general, what's known as general availability. And since then, we've had 6 releases after that. And so with each release, we've just had a feature after feature and improvement after improvement. So it's a team that does a steady amount of work. And then so we know we've got a long way to go, but we've already done so very much. So Elastic Map Service is this. So we provide through, OpenStreetMap, so you can get tiles, you can get administrative regions and so forth. And lo and behold, this example goes straight to Valencia. So I'm going to hand over to our man in Valencia, Jorge, who's going to start talking about himself and tell us more about what we can do in Elastic Maps.
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, I'm Jorge, talking from Valencia, as Jenny kindly remind. So let's start. This is the Elastic Security. So this is one of the solutions that Jenny mentioned. This is showing data from network traffic coming from my laptop, just packets of data with an origin and a destination. Those events are recorded in Elasticsearch. And then on this solution, we can the network map, where we can see what we like to call it a pew-pew map, because it's like lasers and stuff. But this is just origin and destination IPs that are showing where your traffic is coming and going to. So this is just adding the geospatial vision to the solution. So next, I wanted to share with you how Maps works with Canvas. Canvas is another Kibana application. It's like a slides tool, but it's backed by Elasticsearch data. So you can feed your slides with metrics and aggregations, etc. So you can have these slides where you have also maps that are created from Elastic Maps. This is another version of the employee map that I did for this talk. And it's just one of the slides of this small document. And for example, here we are showing 2 different maps. So we can focus in Europe and Asia and Oceania, and you can explore that data in these slides as well. So next is the dashboards. Dashboards are the main feature or the main capability in Kibana. It's very well known because of this, where we have aggregations like the total positions of this data. This data is coming from OpenSky, which is an API that provides position in real time of flights. So we can see how when we filter on this map, for example, so let's see the last 15 minutes, and when we can do filters on the widgets, but we can also do filters on the map. So for example, I'm going to do a small filter by point and radius, and you will see how all the other data of the dashboard updates accordingly. You can disable temporarily filter. You can use the tree map, for example, to focus in the points that are in Arizona in the US. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And now let's focus in the application itself. So where those maps are created. So first we have a map application with layers as usual, with a base map that you can switch on and off, change it. We are seeing again the last 15 minutes of open sky data. And we are seeing the last position of every flight. So we are grouping all those data by the flight ID, and we are getting the last position of every group. These groups are being rendered by country, just a very simple thematic mapping, because this is a lot of data, what we are seeing here. But if we focus a little bit, we will see how the layer changes, because we have zoom-based layer capability. And in this new layer, we are seeing way more visual variables. We have attached to every position 3 different variables. We have the heading, so we can orient the icon. We have the color by country as before, and we have also the size. So we have bigger plans when they are flying higher, just as an excuse. But if we go even closer to the ground, we can even see all the positions. So all the trails for these 15 minutes can be rendered as well, because now we have space for it. And we can also see labels for every last position of a flag. So you can see how using conveniently the zoom levels, you can show data in steps or phases, as is typical in web cartography. And finally, I wanted also to reinforce that this is a Cabana application, so we can use all the powerful search capabilities from filters and all the other common features in Cabana are also here in Elastic Maps. So you can, in this case, for example, just filter by all the positions that are located in this region in UK. That's it. Sorry for being so quick, but yeah, it has to be that way. So happy to answer any questions. That's it.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, just a minute. Just a minute. Wait, I've got to do my shameless plug. That's okay. And let me see. Oh, you gotta let me have control. Yeah. Just two more things I want to mention. We've put a list, and we'll put this in the deck, and we'll send it over to you to have all the things that we mentioned. You've got free access, so you can test it out yourselves. Please read some of those articles. Please look at the documentation. Shameless plug is next month. There's Elasticon, which is Elastic's free virtual conference, and it's going to be 13th, 14th, 15th of October. Please join. It's going to be, you can join at any time you want because some things will be recorded. But in particular, there's going to be a more detailed map session on the 14th, which will be repeated on the 15th. And if you're interested, it would be great that you can take part in that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jenny. Wow, that was really good. So I've got a couple of questions for you here. I don't know whether they're going to be for Jenny or whether they're going to be for Jorge. The first one's from Mark, and he says, I noticed that Elasticsearch recently launched a new spatial index called Shape. How does this differ from GeoPoint and GeoShape?
Yeah, the Shape, and we have here also Thomas, but I think the GeoShape is using coordinates, latitude and longitude. So there are geographical coordinates as always. And a Shape field type is not tied to geographical coordinates, but to Cartesian coordinates. So it's not that we have still, we don't have yet support for projections, but we have support for Cartesian coordinates.
Right, thank you. And follow-up question from Mark, which may be for Jenny. And why is it only available for paid customers via an XPack?
Oh gosh.
No, Maps application is not for paid customers. Yeah. XPack is on the basic license, so it's free for everyone. You can download the distribution, right, and you can use Elastic Maps without any problems.
So a question from me for Jorge is, have you reinvented all the rendering and mapping technology, or is there underlying one of our favorite mapping engines?
Yeah, it's Mapbox.jl based. Yeah, the front end, the maps that you were seeing are using the Mapbox.jl library, but we are not using, you are using our own cartography or on our vector tiles, but it's based on Mapbox technology. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And my last question I've got here, which I've just lost, give me a second. Yeah. This one's from our host, and he says, I'm curious, what decides your roadmap? Do you create the features first, hoping someone uses them, or are they driven by requests from customers?
It's a bit of both. Elastic is a very engineering-driven organization. And so the team, and what that means is that the team has a lot of power to determine what the roadmap is, but also the team have a lot of access to customers, because as a company we have to take part in, each engineer has to take part in what's called community duty. So they're always listening in and reading the forums and taking part. So plus though we have formal methods with product managers that come in with requests. So it is both.
Right, because I was really surprised, Jenny, because I thought I knew what you guys did, and I thought it was sort of going to be, we were going to talk about geospatial analysis of logs and things like that. But actually, this is going really into sort of crossing over with business intelligence and sort of stuff that you might try and do with Tableau or something like that almost.
Well, that fits in with us being part of Cabana, because Cabana also has a business intelligence view in it. But we are also involved in log analysis as well. Right. That gets used a lot in that way.
So where's my traffic coming from?
Yes.
Is the classic use case that you would be then drilling down into.
Exactly. And it also then extends into the kind of security use case, which is we've been attacked. You might have seen the pew pew map that the Jorge showed, which is the kind of, oh, the traffic is all coming from this mysterious place in Valencia. So, you know, it gets used in both circumstances.
Okay. Really impressive. Any last questions for Jorge and Jennifer?